All right, guys, let's talk about it. The elephant in the room. You run a business, you do all the stuff, you're juggling all of the balls, and you got the big A, anxiety, right? Listen, if you're an entrepreneur, you get this. If you just started becoming an entrepreneur, you're about to get it, right? The fact of the matter is we juggle so many things in our lives and there's so many things hitting our brains that we can't help but get anxiety. So a couple of things I'm going to talk to you about on this because I've dealt with this quite a lot personally. I have a system I'm going to give you that's a method that 90% of the time instantly relieves the anxiety, at least lessens it to where it's manageable. Now, here's kind of to build context to that, and I'll explain it to you, and when you find it out, you're going to be like, it's so simple. If you just do it, it will work, right? The first thing I want to do is tell you how I define anxiety. I know there's an official definition, but sometimes I feel like official definitions are a little not specific enough, right? Even though that's what they're designed to be. In this case, I think anxiety is a little bit of a personal experience, but when you understand it from this perspective that I'm about to define it from, you'll instantly understand how to start solving it. To me, anxiety is the mind's inability to organize importance. So what does that actually mean? When we live in this fast-paced world, particularly here in the United States, right, we've got screens pointing at us all the time. There's text messages coming in from 17 different apps, right? You got your WhatsApp, your Facebook Messenger, your normal text messages, your 19 email accounts, right? Somebody's trying to FaceTime you, and then there's some obscure one that you forgot you downloaded. You get a notification from, and you're like, crap, I got to talk to that person too, right? It's all a bit overwhelming, particularly when you're trying to do your best to serve everybody else in your life. And you got family asking, what do you want for dinner? While you have clients asking you for the thing they've been waiting on you for, while you have other projects that you know you need to get moving. And if you don't get moving on it, you're not going to hit your goals, but all this stuff is going on, right? So how does your mind decide which really important thing is important enough to put its attention on right now, right? How do we get that clear to make sure that we can just crush the next thing that's in front of us? Well, here's the deal. In my experience, there's no perfect path to do that all of the time. We're not robots, and that's a good thing, right? That's actually a great thing. However, sometimes we kind of wish that we were secretly, right? Like we're doing so many things and be like, man, if I could just be a robot and not care about this, not feel the impact of it, my body and my brain and headaches and my eyes and all of the stuff would just be in perfect tune to just machine through and get all of this done. I'd stay up till midnight every night, and we would just have all of our stuff done, right? It's probably opposite of what a lot of you want. If you're in business, you probably want more free time and less of that work time, but you know that's how you get it. You got to put in the reps, right? So let's talk about this idea of the mind not being able to organize these different things that are all important. Because the truth is that they are all important. So how do you put a scale of 1 to 10 and start to organize these and sort them out like Google does, right? Google organizes other content that's on the web, and it says this one's the number 1 down to number 10, and then it goes page after page, right? Your mind has to do the same thing, and it can't do them all at once. If everything's important, nothing's important because the mind doesn't know how to allocate resources to it, right? So the way that we start to figure this out is we take the mind out of the equation when it comes to organizing importance. Or better put, we shift the importance to one specific thing, which is organizing that importance, right? So if it doesn't have the ability to do that, that's the first problem we have to solve. So how do we solve it? And this is the magic reveal. And this is pretty lackluster in its actuality because when I say it, you're going to be like, really? You want me to do that? But I promise you, if you go through it, you're going to see how things get organized real quick. So the answer here is a spreadsheet, right? Nobody loves it when the answer is another spreadsheet. Like, I'm trying to reduce anxiety, Josh. I don't need more of your crazy cascades of data across other spreadsheets to clutter the rest of my life, right? But here's the deal. The reason spreadsheets exist is because they do organize information. So what I want you to do is create a spreadsheet that has essentially 3 columns, right? We can talk about a fourth one, and this fourth one will be good, but definitely these 3. So the 3 columns that you want are what is the task at hand. I don't care if the task is figure out what's for dinner. I don't care if it's walk down to the mailbox to check the mail, or if it's get that big report over to your client that you've needed to get, or anything else in between. I want you to just write all of them down. And you can imagine if you're thinking about your mind going through this, your mind's getting it all out and putting it on a list. We take it out of the mind onto a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a spreadsheet. You could do this on a paper. Just make 3 columns, right? So write it down however it is, get it out of your brain onto something. Column number 2 is going to be scale of 1 to 10. How urgent or important is this task, right? And this is important to start organizing importance, right? So we can know, hey, what is the most urgent thing that we need to do because it has the most impact on my life if I don't get it done, right? That's basically the way you want to think about importance in this case. And understand that it's not always just work, right? One of those things that might be paramount is that you spend time with your significant other because you've been working too much, right? That might override all work. So this is a life organization, not just a work organization. It's to deal with anxiety. Not work anxiety, right? Life anxiety. So make sure that you categorize those things accordingly as you're writing that down. And your third column, and this one is beautiful. I love it so much. The third column is who is best to do it. Right? Now, the reason this is important is because as entrepreneurs and people that are taking responsibility in charge of our lives, we tend to get caught in the habit of thinking that we need to be responsible for everything. And we forget that responsible just means responsible for getting it done, not responsible for doing it. And if there is a better who to get something done, then you want to make sure that you assign it to them, and then the mind can go, oh, if I just get that assigned to them, it's off my list. No longer important, no longer part of the clutter, no longer part of this jarring of information that happens with the normal anxiety, right? So that's your 3 columns. What is my task? Scale of 1 to 10, how important or urgent is it? And who's best to get it done? And if the answer is you, then great. Now, you might have something where the answer is better to be somebody else, but you don't have that other person in the mix yet. And that's part of what you're going to have to figure out, right? Because then you can put on your list, hire somebody else. If you don't have the money to hire somebody else, then it's going to be fulfill the thing that gets you the money to hire somebody else, because the more that problem is solved, the less anxiety you have, and the more your creativity can break through because your mind can finally focus on something, right? I have done this with people, and they've been borderline in tears. And we sit down for 5 minutes and do this, and the amount of relief they have is instant. I mean, this, boom, very quickly kicks you back on gear, right? Now, I said there might be a 4th column. In the 4th column is something if you really need to help your mind understand importance. The 4th column is what's the impact if it's not done? Say you're confused as to what's really most important. You just have a bunch of things there. Answering this question of what's the impact if it's not done helps you realize what's at risk, right? And often your mind is just going to automatically sort that out as you go through those first 3. But if you can put words to it and you can put, clearer understanding of it, the mind is now more organized. You've more properly allocated importance. And that's what this entire thing is about. That's why I define anxiety this way. And just for some context, I didn't read that definition anywhere. I don't recall ever learning it from somebody else. This is purely based on my experience in analyzing how I can do best. I've certainly heard of people making sheets and writing stuff down, getting it out of your brain and whatnot. But I think this understanding of anxiety is a really important one, and I've seen it work so many times because we're not trying to be clinical with it, we're trying to be real with it. And the truth is once you organize your importance, all of those other things fall in place or out of place properly. Right? Out of place, it might be that you have a bunch of stuff on your plate that isn't that valuable. You just think that it is because you put it there, and you realize nobody actually cares if you get it done or not, including you. But you said you'd do it, and it's been there, and somebody's the neighbor's asking you about it or something. But it's like, listen, raking the leaves isn't really going to take a priority over me building my dreams, right? So you go, forget it. I don't care. Let's find a neighbor kid for $10 to go rake the leaves, right? Whatever it is, you get to make those determinations. And this process very quickly will help you sort it out. So I hope you enjoy that. I We'll see you guys on another 2mm shift video very soon. Appreciate you as always, and enjoy.